This is a webinar on saved and batch reports. I'm going to show you how to save particular reports and be able to pull them up at any point in time. And the second part of it is creating a batch. With this batch, you could create end-of-month reports and put saved reports or other reports in a batch, and at the end of the month or end of week or daily, you could run this batch and it would just run those particular reports that are in that one batch. We're going to start with the first part of saving the reports. So you're going to go to Reporting, and in this example I'm going to go to Sales, and I'm going to go to Sales Analysis. This will bring you into the Sales Analysis screen. So the very first thing is to the right of Report Name. If you want to select different parameters of this report and save it, you want to give it a name. That way you can pull this report up at any time and rerun it. So we're going to click to the right of Report Name, and we're going to call this End of Month, and we're going to do this by supplier. So I'm going to call it End of Month Supplier. Now I'm going to select the items that I want on this report in each area. So what to analyze by, I'm just going to change that to supplier, and I'm going to make all of my other selections. So as you can see, I have what to analyze by supplier, what type of report do you want to run, I have that by supplier summary, my on-hand value, I have the last day of the previous month. I want to know what my total on hand was as of the last day, since I'm doing this as an end of month report. And then I have in the report column for the sales to look at the previous month. That way in this example it's going to look at all of May. And I can also compare it to the same month last year. And on my report criteria, since I'm going to look at all the suppliers, I can just leave all of this section in the criteria blank. Once I'm done making all my selections, I can click on Save Report down at the bottom. And that saves this report exactly with the selections that I have. If I had another report that I wanted to do, let's say I wanted to do an end of month by class, I could click on this Copy Saved Report button down at the bottom. I could now put a name of end of month class instead of end of month supplier, and then I could go and reselect like what to analyze by. I'm going to change that to class, and then what type of report do you want to run, I'm going to change that to class summary. And that's all I really have to do, and I can click on Save Report down at the bottom. And that saves my second report. So now I have one by supplier and I have one by class for my end of month. So that's really the first step of just naming your reports, making your selections, and saving it. And from here on out, you could bring this report up at any point in time. You wouldn't have to put it in a batch. So if this is a report that you run, on a daily basis or a weekly basis, you could be on any screen in Rick's Enterprise, and you could go to that report and Sales Analysis. I can now click on the magnifying glass icon or the View Lookup. Click on Lookup. This is going to bring me a list of all of my saved reports, and I can select the one that I want. It'll come up on the screen, and once it comes up on the screen, I can click on Add Job and Run, and that'll run that report. So again, the first step is naming the report to the right of report name, making your selections on the report, and clicking on Save Report. You can also edit the report name if you want to. If you made a mistake and spelled something wrong, you can edit the report name. And you can do a new saved report right from here. If I wanted to do a brand new one, I could just click on New Saved Report, and then I could put a new name in, select my criteria, and save that report. The other thing that I can do is I can delete any of these saved reports as well, just by clicking on the Delete Saved Report, and that'll delete that report for you. Now we're going to move on to the second part of creating a saved batch. Now that we've saved some reports, we're ready to create an end of month batch and put those saved reports in it. So we're going to go to Reporting, we're going to go to Saved and Batch Reports. And to create it, we're going to go to Manage Batch Reports. This is where you can create a brand new one, or you can edit any existing ones. And I want to make a special note at this time. When you create saved reports like we were doing in the first step, those are all done by users. So myself as a user, I can have my own set of reports, and another user can have a completely different set of reports. So the first step when we saved reports, that's all by user. The Manage Batch Reports, everyone will have access to this as long as they have permission to run any of the batch reports. So the batch reports are not by user. Anybody that creates them will be listed here when you log in, as long as you have permission for this. Since I want to create a brand new one, I'm going to click on Create New down at the bottom. My first step is I'm going to name this. So we're going to call it End of Month Reports. And there's two sections here. I can either add a new report. This has nothing to do with saved reports. So this is where I can add any report in the system, and it doesn't have to be saved like we did in the first step. Or I can just easily select one of my already saved reports to this batch. And that's what I'm going to do since we have saved some end of month reports. So we're going to click on the drop down, and I'm going to choose Sales Analysis, Denise Webinar End of Month Supplier. And I'm going to click on Add. And that simply adds that to the left. So now I can see the exact name here. Special note on this, when I went back and I was saving reports, I typed in Sales Analysis first. That is my recommendation, so that way it'll show up here in the listing. Whatever you named it is going to show up here, so that way you'll easily be able to tell whether it's a sales analysis report, a bestsellers report, etc. So now I'm going to add my next report that I want. We're going to do end of month class. We're going to add it. And again, it puts it to the left. We're going to add another one. We're going to do a general ledger summary and add it. See how easy this is? Since I already saved those reports exactly how I liked them, it just automatically puts them over here. There's nothing I have to do down below to select the criteria. It's already done for me since I saved that. We're going to go ahead and select a store analysis report. So this is your store analysis report. We're going to click on Add. And I'm going to add a couple bestsellers report. And click on Add. And click on Add. So now I have 6 different reports listed to the left. And if I am ready to save this batch, I can just click on Save down at the bottom. And now you see under Manage Batch Reports, I have my first batch report called End of Month Reports. So if I ever wanted to edit this, I could just go into Manage Batch Reports. It would be listed here, and I could click on Edit, and that's going to bring that back up on the screen for me. If I had another report that I wanted to add, it wasn't one that I had gone through and saved, I could go over to this Add New Report and add a report that I would like for this end of month report batch. Maybe I wanted an inventory detail report, and I can just click on Add. Now I would still recommend doing it the first way and going through the reports, naming it, and making my selections and saving it. That's the easiest route to go, because here it just tells you it's an inventory detail report. It lists it down below, so now I can make my selections.